The word of the day is, in fact, Marka Chancho. It's Markachancho. Someone want to type that up? Markacha Chancho, Chancho. Now, if you type that word up on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you guys get the true definition of Marka Chancho and exactly what you can do with Marka Chancho once you launch it and implement it into a fantastic campaign of not only negotiating in somewhat third world countries for a better price on the products, but in fact you can describe anything as Marka Chancho. That's right, Marka Chancho. Miss Carlucci, in fact, put up Marka Chancho. I was going to take a belt of sarsaparilla. Well, here we go. How can we say Marka Chancho? Marka Chancho is, in fact, the mark of the pig in Spanish. That's right, it's the mark of the pig. Now, how can I describe Marka Chancho? Marka Chancho is a knockoff. That's right. When you get something that isn't the true original brand, the store brand, it's Marka Chancho. So if perhaps you walk into the local grocery store, let's say it's a Fred Mertz or whatever that thing is, Fred Flair or whatever, Lucky Lee or Lucky Lady. You walk into the store and for some reason you go and pick up your beer. And your beer says either Budweiser, Bud Light, Coors Light, the big ones. But then there's this one over there in the corner with a big white label and a big blue letter, and probably most likely an Arial bold font across the front that says beer on it. That's Marka Chancho. That's the mark of the pig. So anyhow, so we say the mark of the pig is in fact everything that isn't a legitimate copy of what it is. I don't know how I found out. I don't know what made me mention that. Let me see. How else can I say? And now you can't go as far as to say the BlackBerry Storm is a Marka Chancho iPhone because in fact it is in fact its own name brand. Now you can't say Marka Chancho as Reebok when Nike's better. You can't use it to compare better or worse. It either is or it isn't. So anyhow, let me see. Cola. Okay, here we go. Shasta Cola is in fact Marka Chancho Cola when you compare it to Coca-Cola because they don't stand a piddly-posh chance of getting in that market. And so what they do is you call it Marka Chancho. You get yourself a pair of jeans, and if it's not Levi's or Guess or Gap or Old Navy or whatever, anything else is Marka Chancho. You get a pair of shoes at Payless versus Nike. Every shoe in Payless is Marka Chancho. Whether you like it or not, everything in Payless is Marka Chancho. That's okay. Let me see. Someone says then you can compare phones. I guess I don't know if you can compare phones because there really aren't any Marka Chancho phones out there. I guess those, okay, yeah, you know what, Marka Chancho, here's how we can compare a phone. If you guys really want to know the technology angle on this thing. You can say one of those telephones that you pick up, those pay-as-you-go telephones that you pick up in the liquor store next to the bubble gum and the hangover pills and the energy shots, those are Marka Chancho phones. Those are definitely Marka Chancho phones. So from now on, I encourage you guys tomorrow when you're out in the streets walking around to identify at least one thing out on the street when you go and pick it up, or your husband or your spouse says, "Oh, what is this? Is this really nice?" And you look at it, you say, "This is Marka Chancho. It's totally Marka Chancho." Well, it turns out I got my kids saying Marka Chancho, and it's the funniest ding-dong damn thing they ever do when they say it's Marka Chancho, because they can readily identify Marka Chancho. Marka Chancho is when you go into the pizza store and they have all those prizes that you got laid out across the table to sucker your kids into buying all those things and playing all those stupid games that you could get anyone in there. That is in fact Marka Chancho. Oh yes, okay, here we go. Live streams. All the other live Santa streams on the internet that is not in fact Santa Claus Live is most definitely, absolutely, positively, hands down, no argument, Marka Chancho. Now, we are not for Marka Chancho in any way. Now, sometimes if you want to buy Marka Chancho bubble gum and your breath stinks, take your chances. Now, plenty of things, if you go to Chinatown, are going to be Marka Chancho. That's exactly how every other third world country sells their stuff. It lives off Marka Chancho. But in the United States, you can tell the difference between Marka Chancho and not. Now, even if you don't know it's Marka Chancho, it is in fact most indefinitely and Google Infinity going to be the best thing. Oh, so anyhow, speaking of the technology and news, I don't know if you guys heard in the news earlier today. Let me see. Oh, okay. This, in fact, is, and we're going to lead into the Marka Chancho here. Get with me here. And I don't know if you guys had to go. Yeah, crappy stuff is Marka Chancho, but if they're trying to say that it's the real thing, it is not the real thing. For example, if you go into Chinatown and you find yourself a big box set of Power Rangers, but they're not in fact called Power Rangers, they're more called Rangers of Strength, or some sort of strange translation that comes over from China over to here, and they're these strange little plastic things, and it kind of resembles the Power Rangers, but it looks like it's some sort of junk, and perhaps maybe there's not even any possibility of your children not choking on these things. It is quite possibly Marka Chancho. So, on and on and on, we can have so many things. It is a fine line, Marka Chancho, but from now on, if you guys put this Marka Chancho into practice, you will in fact discover there's an entire universe of Marka Chancho, and there's not worth living in the Marka Chancho zone, if you know what I mean. Anyhow, on to our next thing. We can go on and on about the Marka Chancho. Anyhow, that's right. Let me see. That's right. Mr. Eggman says most of them are on Canal Street in New York City, is the Marka Chancho. Marka Chancho is all over Chinatown. If you guys want to buy anything in Chinatown, good chance there's Marka Chancho. If you go into Tijuana, everything there is Marka Chancho. It's a knockoff. You get a Rolex watch, and it's not a real Rolex, it's Marka Chancho. Everything like that. You go ahead, in Powell Street in San Francisco, Chicago says Powell Street in San Francisco. I'm going to say just Chinatown in Los Angeles and Olvera Street. You guys all have streets like that. Go ahead and call out your streets real quick and let me know what street you find your Marka Chancho locally. You will know exactly what I'm talking about. All these crazy little knockoff Vietnamese stores that they sell these things. These crazy little knickknacks that they sell. All the toys in liquor stores, as a matter of fact, are Marka Chancho. If you go into a liquor store and they got all the fruits and the breads and the liquors and all the, cigarettes and all that stuff, anything in the swap meet may be Marka Chancho. You got to be very careful, because if it's cool and it's original, it cannot be Marka Chancho. It's just not really labeled as mainstream. Yeah, exactly. Wasn't it a Rolex? Anyhow, everybody got all these things. Everybody says got all excited about Marka Chancho. I'm telling you, very soon, Marka Chancho is going to take it viral. You guys got to know where you found it. If Santa Claus Live is the only place on the internet where you're going to find things like FOL for fart out loud, and put a BL inside of any blucking word you want to say, and it translates it into positive vibrations. And now we got Marka Chancho. So we're starting a whole new thing. Turkey squirts, peepee deepee, poopy doopy. All those words, guys. We're going to have to start our own language here so everybody knows. St. Charles Rock Road, the flea market, is Marka Chancho. Oh, there are possibilities. In fact, yes, events can actually be Marka Chancho. Cover bands are Marka Chancho. More Marka Chancho if they actually are trying to look like them. And if they sound like them, it's definitely Marka Chancho, because they are really doing a good job of being a knockoff of the original band. But sometimes Marka Chancho is good. Like I said, I appreciate you guys really getting into the Marka Chancho. A lot of things we can say about Marka Chancho. So anyhow, if you guys are wondering what the hell it has to do with Laura Croft, well, it turns out this is Laura Croft in the very beginning. Not necessarily Marka Chancho, but definitely debatable on how it looks. Well, anyhow, I was trying to ask Miss Carlucci, and I'll ask the room right now, and perhaps the first one to get this thing right is going to get a very big la-di-da and a pish-posh whoop-de-whoop. Anyhow, there's a movie that came out a couple years ago. Probably went straight to video. Went straight to my trash can after I watched it. It's called Tomb Raider. Now, I don't know if it's Tomb Raider legitimate, because there is absolutely nothing that resembled Tomb Raider, but in fact it was Laura Croft. Now, this movie is not the original Angelina Jolie. It came out after Angelina Jolie, the hottest girl, one of the hot girls. It came out after Angelina Jolie was Miss, anyhow. We got ahead, and that movie that came out, well, here's where I'm going with this. This is Angelina Jolie. That's the Tomb Raider. That's the big Tomb Raider. Now, there was a movie that came after Tomb Raider, not Cradle, not the other one, or whatever, not the beginning, not the end. There's three of them. Well, there's one movie that came out after it, and it was called Tomb Raider, but I think it's something like The Beginnings. And the story goes where it's the beginning of Angelina Jolie, and it's not Angelina Jolie. Trust me, this girl looks like Francis Ford Coppola's daughter. You know, the ugly one who tries to act. I think she was in Godfather 3 as the daughter who got shot in the end. That's what she looks like. Womb Raider? No, but very close. It was actually just as awful and hard to watch. Now, I went in there and I'm like, how the heck didn't I see this Tomb Raider? I love Tomb Raider. No, it's not after she died. It's in the very beginning of Tomb Raider. I'm telling you, it's her early years. It was in the beginning. Like they talk about when she was born and being raised rich, and her father was in the movie, and it was all crap. It was the crappiest crap I've ever seen, and that was the most Marka Chancho movie I've ever seen. Marka Chancho movies are rampant in the industry. Home Alone 3, for example, is absolutely Marka Chancho. A prequel, that's right, it launched. It went back in time. So if you guys can ever find that, let me know. There is a definitely whoop-de-doo, la-di-da, pish-posh, maybe a little applesauce down there. In fact, if you guys can find out the name of that movie, I'll probably go upstairs and find it. I might have the cover still because I kept it. Well, it was pretty hard to watch because it was stupid Marka Chancho. The acting was bad. I probably could have done, not a Police Academy, but it was just as bad. Oh, Police Academy 10 is Marka Chancho. Anything after Police Academy 3 is Marka Chancho. As a matter of fact, very few movies after the third sequel is not, in fact, Marka Chancho. And when they try to replace the original actor with another actor, and it's nowhere near the other actor, unless they segue completely away from that actor, it is, in fact, Marka Chancho to the big time.